What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sanny Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The Kuang exercises entered its 8th day on Wednesday as units around the country carried out more combat drills. Our reporter Larry Isiano has the latest.
Taiwan's annual Kuang military exercise is in its 8th day, what the Defense Ministry is calling the Deep Defense and Protracted Combat phase. That means troops focus less on confronting enemies and more on training logistics and support operations.
这是一个你把它想象成像是一个不同的这个层级 layer， 就是外层反登陆，接着在 B 区反击。那在这个 urban warfare 也会进行相关的防御。
Exercises took place around the capital, Taipei. Special forces units used Black Hawk helicopters to train how they could project air power across northern Taiwan. One chopper landed on a university sports field, where troops quickly hopped on, carrying anti-armor missiles. The military police, usually tasked with protecting the presidential office and key areas around the city, carried out their own exercises. They reinforced their Nangan district garrison overnight and deployed troops Wednesday morning to northern Taipei's Guandu Plain.
要是中国或者敌方从淡水河口进来，或者是用直升机，或者是这个 parachute， 就是降落伞降落的话，关渡平原是一个很重要的这个比较平坦的区域，所以在这里就会结合在这个北投清泉岗的这个陆战队，还有就是在关渡指挥部的联兵营进行歼灭战。
Overnight, units in Taoyuan carried out 24-hour exercises on wartime equipment repair. That means assembling engines, fixing hydraulic and electrical systems, and troubleshooting issues. Their task was to carry out repairs as quickly as possible in limited light. Air defense units also conducted their own exercise across northern Taiwan, carrying out nighttime resupply drills. But while logistics took center stage, ensuring troops could drill their combat capabilities remained a key part of the nighttime exercises. Army Special Forces units held an ambush drill, where under the cover of darkness, personnel simulated destroying an enemy armored convoy and eliminating high-value targets. They used anti-vehicle missiles, drones, thermal imaging scopes, and sniper rifles. As Kuang 2026 enters its final days, these drills continue to highlight the Army's multi-layered defense strategy, one that goes beyond beach landings or maneuvers in the Taiwan Strait. They're training troops to take advantage of Taiwan's terrain and urban landscape to successfully delay enemy advances and make an invasion much more costly. John Su and Larry Isiano for TaiwanPlus.
41 countries, including the US, Japan, and South Korea, have issued a statement saying countries should give advance notice when they launch ballistic missiles. The statement comes after China carried out a surprise launch of a nuclear-capable missile into the Pacific last month and gave only a few hours' notice. The statement did not mention China by name, but called on all nations to observe internationally standard practices and give at least 24 hours advance notice for launches. The statement said it is aimed to lower the risk of miscalculation and enhance regional security. This week, Taiwan is celebrating 45 years of relations with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Prime Minister is in Taipei for a state visit with festivities already underway. Tiffany Wong has more.
With a 19-gun salute, Taiwan President Lai Ching-te welcomes St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Godwin Friday in his first overseas visit after taking office.
President Lai, thank you. That was an incredible display.
Friday is here to celebrate 45 years of ties between the two countries. His visit has eased concerns that his government would shift recognition to Beijing after ending his rival's 24-year run in office last year.
I am ready to work with you to write the next chapter of this 45-year relationship. I am prepared for partnership.
Later, President Lai thanked the Caribbean ally for its continued support for Taiwan's participation in international organizations. He also pledged Taiwan's support for St. Vincent's development.
未来台湾会和圣文森国在各领域继续深化合作，我很期待透过多元的计划继续增进两国人民的福祉。
Of these diverse projects, Lai highlighted agricultural and youth exchanges, while Friday cited tourism and marine industries as areas of interest. At a state banquet in the evening, Lai celebrated the 45 years of friendship between the two nations.
台湾和圣文森国共享民主自由价值，都了解国家存在的意义。国家存在的意义不在于幅员大小，而在于对信念的坚持，以及对人民的照顾，还有对国际社会的贡献与责任。
As these two small nations celebrate together, their commitment to each other remains steadfast. Hank Shui and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. lawmakers have called on Lithuania to resist China's bullying and maintain its ties with Taiwan. 4 members of Congress's Taiwan caucus issued a letter Monday urging Lithuania to continue its support of Taiwan. In 2021, Lithuania allowed Taiwan to open its representative office using the name Taiwanese instead of Taipei. It also withdrew from a China-led European economic framework. These moves were condemned by China, which imposed strong economic pressure on the country. Newly elected Lithuanian Prime Minister recently said the changes were, quote, maybe too brave. He has also indicated he wants to repair relations with Beijing. Taiwan is urging the public to stay vigilant against Chinese interference after media reports suggested Beijing plans to support pro-China forces in upcoming local elections. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with China, was responding to reports of 4 priorities Beijing set out for Taiwan at its Beidaihe Summer Forum. A Taiwanese security official told local media that the list says China opposes Taiwan pursuing independence through military expansion, will strengthen, quote, de facto governance of Taiwan, will mobilize resources against pro-independence groups, and support pro-unification forces in upcoming local elections. Taiwan's government regularly warns about Chinese political infiltration and attempted interference in elections. To learn more about how these reported strategies from Beijing might translate into action, Rhys spoke to Chen Fangyu, an associate professor of political science at Suzhou University.
At the Beidaihe meeting, China said it would focus on strengthening de facto governance over Taiwan. In practice, could Beijing use legal and cognitive warfare to undermine Taipei's authority?
In recent years, we have seen that Beijing is strengthening its connection with Taiwan's, not only in the grassroots level, but also we have seen that espionage cases has already gone onto the very high level of government officials. And Beijing's plan is to connect with various levels of Taiwanese people, including the military personnel, and also in various levels of the civil servants. And also the cognitive warfare is against the ordinary people, the citizens.
So Beijing also talks about mobilizing resources across all Taiwanese sectors to counter independence. So which networks or local infrastructure in Taiwan are perhaps most vulnerable to Chinese infiltration?
Almost every level has its vulnerability. There's a recent news saying that Beijing is targeting the middle schools and high school students, invite them to visit China. And also they are giving some secret resources to the local elections. Beijing is trying to absorb and trying to do more espionage cases. For example, Beijing is giving a lot of resources to the media, journalists, and also the anchors, and trying to recruit more spies. And even some of the group members, including some the retired military personnel.
And Taiwan's local elections are coming up in November. How do we expect that China's support for those so-called patriotic forces might manifest in the lead up to those elections?
It is not based on patriotism. It is based on material interests and bribes. We have seen several cases of anti-infiltration charges in recent years. I think that in the local elections, people should be aware of the information, the resource of the information, and to fact check, and also maybe to discuss more information and the political affairs with your friends, not only from the TikToks or some of the social medias, because, it is highly controlled or influenced by some of the Chinese influencers.
That was Chen Fangyu, an associate professor at Suzhou University. The US has lifted its ban on using the TikTok app on federal government devices. This comes after the Justice Department determined that TikTok no longer meets the legal definition of a security risk. The app was banned in 2023 on concerns that Chinese owner ByteDance could share data with Beijing. The app's U.S. operations are now mainly owned by American investors and are considered independent of ByteDance. On the opening day of the annual Ghost Festival, temples around the country are gearing up to burn massive amounts of joss paper. The one Taipei temple is among the many that are taking a more eco-friendly approach to this tradition. Irene Lin takes a look.
Ahead of the traditional Ghost Month prayer ceremony, believers and tourists are coming to this Taipei temple to pay respects to the city god, or Chen Huangye. Traditionally, they do it by burning joss paper. But for the past 3 decades, there's been a shift in this practice to reduce air pollution in the city. The temple provides smaller bundles of joss paper, collecting them to be burned together by the city government, instead of letting people burn them individually here.
集中到某个量的时候，比如说我的量到了，我就请一个小货车载走，所以没有定期说哪一天。刚开始信众是很难接受的哈，因为我们的民俗传统习惯都已经是这样。但是我们现在做到这20几年来，信众都可以接受，因为第一我们的金子的量也很少。 第二，就让他们知道说，其实很安心，你在这边做的东西，因为现场的这个流程他们都看到。
The initiative aims to reduce the amount of joss paper and incense burned at religious ceremonies each year. The temple has even offered to replace them with packs of rice as a blessing. But as joss paper is meant to honor the ancestors and wandering spirits, some people say they can't give up the practice altogether, but do support government oversight on how it's done.
就是说，因为环保的原因，所以很多地方他们封炉了。但是呢，有的时候我们在为了心里面上的那个安宁哈，那我们就说，就是说会想着找个地方，但是我找来找去，大概就是这边的城隍爷
拿香有金子，才对祖先有所好像说尊重。 我们也是都有在做啊，所以我刚才问那个师兄说，这个夜是什么时候做？
The Taipei city government says over half of the city's registered temples have joined in. The collected batches will be sent to 3 specialized incinerators, and officials continue to urge people to not burn joss paper at home.
我们这个近5年，从114年到114年的一个清运量，从1200多公吨，那已经上升到1600多公吨，大概上升大概近3成。我们会请民众呢，跟我们这边的区公所去索取我们的一个集中烧的专用袋，然后还或是一些我们集中烧的专用贴纸。那针对这个寺庙或是一些联合补助这种比较多量、比较大量的东西的时候，其实可以通知我们的一个清洁队，那去做定点的一个收运。
The initiative has made it to the national level, with the Environment Ministry launching a project to centralize joss paper burning in every city and county. With local and central efforts working in tandem, temples and officials hope to respect ancestral practices while making them a little better for the environment. Leon Lian and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we take you to France for a pig squealing competition. I'm Sandy Chi. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and Hawaii, visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow us on our social media.